Welcome to FightZone. The blood, the sweat, the tears, the sweet taste of victory. Join the revolution.
None of you people can tell me to stop!
Welcome back to the Bad Blood podcast, everybody. This is the Boxing Show. We have an outstanding guest for you today, a man who has been synonymous throughout the sport for a long time, a man who is experienced in the game. He has knowledge second to none. It's Dennis Hobson. How are you, my man?
Good to see you, Lee. Thanks for having me on, pal.
No worries. Dennis, basically, this fight zone, where did this idea come from?
Right. I've been in the game, like you just said, quite a long time, and sometimes you sit in front of TV executives, Lee, and you explain a vision of how you want to maneuver kids, and there's some good stories behind some of these kids, and they don't all have to be Olympians and GB squad. The kids, as you've seen in the past, have maneuvered kids onto world titles who's coming off domestic losses. So when I believe in somebody, it's not just hype, it's not just cheerleading, and sometimes when I've sat in front of these TV execs, they don't quite get it, and so you put something to them, and you think definitely that'll float, and they don't get it. Mm-hmm. They'll sometimes, I've had them say, "Yeah, Dennis, but will it get us the TV views? And I could put James Bond on and Sean Connery, and I can get so many thousand viewers," and you go, "Oh." Do I be insulting, or do I just go, take a breath? So I've had a bit of that throughout my boxing career as a promoter, and then so obviously on limited resources, I've managed to get kids to world titles, getting odd little bits of TV deals, but nothing that's been long term. Where I thought, apart from when I got Ricky, and when I lost Ricky. I put a lot of my eggs in one basket with Ricky, and I'd still got Clinton to manoeuvre and make world titles for. But Clinton was coming towards the end of his career, so I'd got to regroup. Anyway, I met Steve Crump, and we'd started putting some small all shows on again, and we'd started to grow the stable and regroup. And we'd heard a whisper, there were me, Steve, and a couple more partners, that BoxNation was for sale. So I'd said, look, it might be a great opportunity. There's still a certain amount of subscribers. I'm still one now, and I never watch it. And can we get hold of that channel? We'll be in charge of his own destiny. And for whatever reason, I know what the reasons are, we never got hold of BoxNation. We was the highest bidder for it. But it were a strange negotiation what we entered into, and we got told we were the highest bidder, and then it got put out again for sale again, and then we thought we'd got the deal again, and then for whatever reason,
could I just stop you there, Dan? Is there a particular reason why you didn't believe you got
that? Yes, because of Frank. Frank, for whatever reason, played a bit of politics, and he kept hold of the control. Which, if you're going to sell something, sell it. The debt was going with it, that we were willing to pay a substantial amount, and we thought we could refloat BoxNation because I like the principle of BoxNation, but I think we could have done we thought we could have added something to it, not completely revamp it, because I thought the principle of it was right. They were top heavy. There were too many chauffeur-driven cars knocking about, so it were never sustainable. And bless him. Bill Ives from Raynham Steel obviously propped that company up. So we thought if we got hold of that, it's got a logo, it's got a place on the world market. We'd revamp it and relaunch it. Anyway, we didn't get it for whatever reason, and Frank entered into some deal with, I think, Premier Sports and the Satanta lads, and good luck to him. But we sat down and said, hold on a minute, we thought we'd got this channel. Why don't we form us on? Mm-hmm. But we're going, ITT OTT platform, and do like a mini version of DAZN, which is what we've done. And we decided that, you know, because there's so many fights don't get seen, and you can see the YouTube, but I don't know what you're like, Lee, but I'll watch something and I'll watch it on my device. You know, I'm like one of the kids, but obviously I had to put my specs on these days.
Yeah.
But I want to see that extra bit of quality of production.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that's what we've done. We're putting TV production, the same production, televideo, who produce Channel 5, where Channel 5 are paying a lots of money, and they used to do BoxNation and ESPN, they do. So we've got that quality, and you're seeing we've got Glenn, we've got Dominic McGuinness, we've got Anthony Crawler. We have some great guests on the channel. So it's not as though we've cut corners. We've got Matt Smith usually presenting it. So if we're going to do something, let's have a bit of polish to it. And rightly so, I do believe, and I hope you feel the same, that we've got not just UK recognition, we've got worldwide recognition already, and we haven't marketed it.
Yeah.
We've got about 50 different countries subscribing, where, not saying there's a lot of subscribers in certain countries. Scandinavia, they're doing quite well for us, but we haven't really marketed it over there. We've only been going 3 months.
Yeah.
We've got a pool of about 300 fighters that we're working with. We've already in 3 months, and Jason McClory's done a smashing job. And as you know, the promoters and managers are working with Kev Marie, Sam Kinnett, you know, you got Calgary's Mo Pryor, Errol Johnson, to name but a few. But we've got 14 champions already. 14 champions. So we've got a very strong stable. And FightZone, for me, I always thought, you know, it could be a success. It's growing. I'm a bit greedy, Lee. I want it to grow faster, because I want us to be putting world titles, which, as it so happens, we are going to be putting a world title on, the first women's world title that I've ever put on, and we'll announce the venue shortly. But that's going to be a cracking show. It's going to be an all women's show, and Anna Rankin will be fighting for at least a WBA. So, like I'm saying, in 3 months' time, we've made great progress.
Oh, I've attended, Dennis, and honestly, I could not. When I got there, I'm going to be brutally honest, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your backside. It was well done, man. It was the production.
Thanks,
it was really, really, really good for like one of the first few shows. I could not believe it. Like, it was just second to none. Production, how everything was set, organized. The turnout was great, and the fights were fantastic. There's been a niche in the market recently, obviously, with Sky, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom leaving, Sky turning over to DAZN. Was there ever a chance for you to have any of your fighters perform on Sky, or will there be any chance of a cross-platform with FightZone and Sky? Obviously, because Sky are going to have a big gap now that Eddie's left. Surely.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way, Lee, we don't know each other. I've heard good stuff about you. You've heard good stuff about me, I'd like to think. So if you said to me, Dennis, do FightZone want to get involved in this, do you think I said, no, see you later?
No,
Lee, I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
My core business is scrap metal, and I've grown businesses, engineering companies and stuff like that. So my philosophy is my door's open. I'm not a blinkered sort of person. I'll sit down. Yeah, you sometimes you get some time wasters and things like that, but it's not all about me. And this is what I keep saying. It's not about me like it's about Frank and Eddie. It's about FightZone, and our philosophy and our motto is everybody feeds from our table. So bring something to the table and take something away from the table. That's it. So just to say to you that if Sky approached us, and I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for them, because we've got such a strong pool of fighters, and we've already got 14 champions already. I know they've gone into bed with Ben Shalom, but he's going around trying to sign fighters, but I don't think he's going to find it that easy. And yet, money talks, and people are going to jump on. But I don't think I don't know. I don't think he's going to find it as easy as what he thought, just because he's got Sky behind him. And Sky did a massive brand, but they've had a correction, haven't they, by DAZN going, see you later. We've got Eddie. We took Eddie off you, and they've had to rally around and they've jumped into bed with Ben. And I'm not saying that's the right or wrong thing to do, but I think they need to be, if I were them, I'd be saying, let's have a look who we can get in, some collusion with. And even HBO and Showtime have worked together. So if they come to us and said, is there something we can do together? Every deal, there's a deal to be done, and it doesn't all take the same shape. And if it makes sense, and it makes sense for some of our kids as well as the channel, I just want to grow this channel and us to be an option. I'm not saying that we're going to be the Man City of this league, the Premier League. I'm saying we're capable of doing a Leicester now and again and going up there and competing. Not saying we're going to do it every week in, week out, because we haven't got the resources of the zone. But we've got a lot of support, and there's a lot of people want to work with us, but we're not desperately. We've got successful businessmen behind it. We've funded it, and we're putting some smashing fights on. The kids from day one can be on the channel. You ain't got to get to 10 and 15 and 0 to get some sort of exposure. And if you don't perform, it's like, see you later, you put back on the shelf. Not with us. We proved it. We've just proved it again with Tommy Frank. We were waiting for Carl Youssef for one reason and another. That fight should have made 3 or 4 times. So what did we do? We get him in for an IBF Intercontinental, got an injury the first time, then gets beat the same time. Now we've put him back in. We've got a British title for him against Mark Windle. So that says that if you get beat, if you found your level, okay, we'll look at a lesser level. But like with Tommy, I still believe in that kid, and we all do, that we give him another chance for a prestigious British title. So your career, if you get beat, your stock can go up with us, even if you get beat. And that's how boxing, I believe, should be.
Yeah, because the persona is, once that all goes, you're forgetting about. And that perception has to go, because when you fight the best, you are going to lose, because it's the best fighting the best. Whoever performs on that night wins. This is why I love the concept of Fight Zone, because that is so, like, for instance, when I attended, there was a guy from my area who was having his professional debut, and he was on the network, like on his debut, you know what I mean? And he's not a well-renowned name down around where you are, but he's still got his opportunity. That's what I love about boxing, and that's why I think boxing's been detached with the likes of Sky Sports, the Zone, and the higher platforms, because it takes all these fighters to make the sport go round.
I think, Lee, that as well as that is that you look at the commentary, and I don't want to name names, but some of the other commentaries on the other channels, which are arguably, obviously, a lot more established than us, it's a bit staid for me, and it's a bit predictable, and sometimes bordering on bias. Now, I like to think that our commentary and summaries are fair, and if one of our kids hasn't performed, it's like put over by Glenn, for example, as advice. If said, look, his jab weren't working tonight, he weren't doing this, and the other kid were sharper. So it's constructive, and he's saying that because he knows we're not just going to drop these kids. They're going to come again, and an L isn't a loss with us; it's a learner. That's how we summarise the way forward in this project. And like you've just said, using that word, there was a niche in the market, and there has been for a long time. And Annie just needed the right partners for us to get together. We thought BoxNation were going to be our vehicle to do that, but for whatever reason, like I've just said, I know a bit more about it, and I know there was some politics and a bit of manoeuvring, but I want to be in charge of his own destiny, Lee, and I'm too old in the tooth for like just going cap in hand. And I've got to the point now where in my life, I've had world champions and kids who's got there what other promoters didn't want to know about. You know, Jamie McDonald, Stuart Halls of this world, Clinton Woods. Other promoters didn't want to know about him, Carl Thompsons of this world, and I got him all the way to world titles. So that was very sweet, and. So I haven't got anything to prove as regards getting world champions, but guess what? It's a drug, innit? It's the thrill. It's the thrill of winning, the thrill of the big night. I've been shafted once or twice by, you get attached to certain kids and you're trying to do the right thing, and then, their heads gets turned. But you can't take away what I've achieved and the big nights I've had, and that's on my CV and it's in my memory bank. And I still want to make memories. I've got 1 or 2 smashing partners working with me, and me and Steve Crump are pals outside boxing now anyway. And he loves the memories we've already made. And for me, we haven't started. We've only been going. So this is like this is a special chapter. When you speak to Glenn, he'll say, honestly, I keep saying it, Dennis, I'm not kidding you. This is my most excited I've ever been in boxing. Wow. So for Glenn McCrory to say something like that, it's got to be special. And I must say, I've been at Vegas. We Ricky, Clinton's fought Roy Jones and things like that. But this is a special time, and as long as everybody gets behind it, we're here to stay.
Yeah, you have now got the perfect platform to recreate those nights with now different boxers. Now, that's got to be a super immense, like type of feeling, sense of pride that you now have that platform where you're not getting your hands on BoxNation. It's just, I'm not just saying it. I think it's a perfect way. That's why I love the concept. Like I say, I keep going back to that, but what you've done and what you created, you've achieved so much in boxing, but the will to drive to keep on doing it is something else. Yeah,
I think, and we've done it in the middle of a pandemic, haven't we?
Yeah.
So it took a bit of bravery to do that, I suppose.
That's what makes it special, though, Dennis, because
I think
took the chance. You took the chance when nothing was happening. Small hall boxing was dead. Like, it was dead in the water. And you took that opportunity to spring on that. And that's why I believe boxing must thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that, Lee. That's very kind of you. And I do mean that. It means a lot for somebody like yourself to say that. It means that we're trying to do something right. And I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk to you much, like, you know, when you come down to the events, but didn't you get a feeling that they were like an inclusion instead of it just being us and them, that everybody felt part of it?
Yes, it just the way it's set up. It's like it's family orientated. Like the atmosphere that's created amongst the people. Like everybody gets on. There's great fights. The staff are brilliant. Like everything that's being created is it's just right. It just has a different feel to like all the big ones, the big stadium shows and the match rooms. You feel detached from it, but with this, you feel a part of it. That's what makes it special.
Yeah, and obviously we're going to move on to like going inside with it. So it'll be slightly different because you won't get that same like festival atmosphere which we created. But I'd like to think that when people turn up to our shows, you feel as though you're involved, and if anybody is like, you know, I'll go for a pint with you. I'm not a pint drinker, but I'll come for a beer with you because I'm a fan at the end of the day. Yeah, I had 1 or 2 amateur fights, and I know what it's like to get on the end of the nose, but. So I know what it feels like walking to that up them steps, even as an amateur. It's a strange thing, but and I've sparred with also different kids when I was younger. So I'm a fan, Lee, end of the day, but I'm a businessman as well. So it's not just for the sake of it being a hobby. It's got to work, and the way it's going to work is through people like yourself, who's going to push people to subscribe to it, because it's great value for money. It gives kids an opportunity, but people's got to get off the backside and just tune in and subscribe for $4.99 a month, which is peanuts. And what entertainment you're getting, and that means we're here long term. And there'll be places like you, there'll be places for people like you to come and sit with us, because we know you are helping build a channel. It's people like you who will grow this channel, not your big corporates who are faceless.
Yeah,
it's people who connected. When you go down to your supermarket, or you might go down to your working men's club or your bar and say, "Have you seen this? Get joining this, because it's going to help everybody." That kid who wants to turn pro, if this is here still long term, that kid's going to get a chance. If this doesn't succeed, then you've got to wait until you get a kid to 10, 15 and 0. He might have not got the resources to get there because he can't get sponsorship. with us, it's going to get kids opportunity because they're getting on television where they're more inclined to get a sponsor because they're going to see the advertising on the shorts or the kit. So there's a lot of benefits from this channel, and like you've seen, it's not just a basic YouTube channel. It's television on the internet. We're a version of DAZN, and it's not that far really, if anything, is it that far removed from DAZN? And the money that they're throwing at their production has quality anyway. And we've got some of the voices of boxing in there, which are very, very credible and good people, and they've got an opinion, and it's not just stifled, it's not just staged to make every home fighter look good. And as I've just seen from, I forget how many fights that we've done now, about a dozen shows that we've done, that we've had one or two reversals, we've had one or two losses from on the home side. So what does that tell you? That tells you that we're not just putting kids in just to pad the record. We're putting kids in competitive fights, and like if they get beat, can you hear me, Lee?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry, pal, somebody was just coming through. If they get beat, they get to come back on our channel. So that's what we continue to do. That's the concept. But we want to take kids all the way to world titles. And I can't believe she's been with us 2 minutes and she's fighting for a world title. Jack Massey left Warren, came with us 2 or 3 weeks later, is an IBF European champion. Cash Ali, we've turned his career around. He was just known for biting David Price. Since he's come with Richard Towers and he's come with us, is all of a sudden people taking notice and looking and thinking, we've got a player here. He's a European champion already. We've got an heavyweight player here. Dave Allen's come back to us. Yeah, he was. I mean, Dave Allen's come back to us. Who looks a different animal, Dave, now. So hopefully he's doing it the right way now. I mean, he came with me. I nicknamed him the White Rhino, didn't I? But he were taking fights that he shouldn't have took it because he weren't conditioned properly, and he took more punches than I liked and cared for. But he wants to have another go, and I think Dave's charismatic, very capable. And if he's fresh enough, he'll go and win something big, I think, Dave. So as long as he keeps the conditioning right now, what he looks as though he has, it'd be a nice yardstick to see where he's at in this next fight on the 27th and see how fresh he is. It looks $1 million compared to what he did.
He does.
So I'm really excited about where he's going to go. But so they're just a few stories and journeys that we're beginning, that we're going on, Lee, and people like yourself and other lads who's genuinely trying to help support us. We want you to come on this journey with us.
Yeah, see, I thought Eiffel would have been all over something like this, with them being the predominant boxing YouTube channel. I thought it would have been splattered out there constantly, but there's very little from them.
I mean, I get on well with Coogan. He's a pal. If he... One second, Paul. 1 second. If we're open. I mean, I get on well with Coogan, like I just said, and he'll do 1 or 2 bits for us. But like you've been chasing me to do this, and I apologise that we haven't got together sooner. But I don't think I'm above anybody, and I'm not beneath anybody. So I'm just a fella who takes a chance, takes a calculated gamble, to the benefit of our company, but definitely to the benefit of the kids who we give the opportunity to. So I think, like you just said, you couldn't give us any more applause than what you have done, and I think, I suppose it is deservedly, but we've only just started, Lee. There's a long way to go, and there's a lot of hard work. So we're not going to rest on his laurels and say and lick ourselves and say, oh, aren't we great? And we don't. No, we don't do that. As soon as the show's done, I get a relief from putting a smashing show on, but always in my mind from being a youngster is like, right, where are we going next? Yeah. Right, I've got to make a couple of little tweaks, what we can do on this show, what we can make better on that. Yeah, I'll have a drink and socialise after, but it's always at the back of my mind, the next show. We're not resting on our laurels. So yeah, I mean, IFL, but there's a lot of guys out there like yourself, one or two genuine kids who will help us grow this. And I don't think IFL definitely hadn't shut the door on us. They could have done a bit more probably, but you know what, Lee? I'm not that worried because I think this will grow organically because of the industry. Everybody, the industry are like it. I haven't, touch wood, I haven't heard any bad press, apart from Porky keeps wanting to have a pop at me because I've blanked him. But you know, it shouldn't send messages what my kids can look at, and that's the reason why I'm not talking to him. And now he might know the reason why I'm not talking to him anymore. But he gets too personal with people, and it's a shame because I think the kid's got a good heart, but some of his comments are very distasteful, and they're not polished enough. You can be controversial, but you don't get personal with people, because I always say that if somebody's got a bit of a tricky side or whatever, if somebody gets in a ring and for example, Billy Joe Saunders come out with one or two things which were a bit controversial, which he could have done a bit better for himself. But I always give Billy respect because he's a talented kid, and at heart, I think he's a smashing kid. But he comes out with some crazy things.
It's tongue in cheek.
And I could just like that kid. He's super talented, but it goes off the rails now and again. But don't get personal with him because he's such a talent, and he's got the bottle to get in the ring for a start, and it just so happens that he's super talented. So, you know, I mean, if they want to create a bit of publicity for themselves, great. I think Billy can use his way of doing it. He don't need to do some of the things he's done, but what a talent. But
superb.
Our friend. Anyway, we're talking about him too much, Lee.
I was just about to say, do you think Billy comes back, or do you think he calls it a day?
I mean, he's nothing to prove. He's a superstar in my eyes. I think he's super talented. I don't know how bad the injury is, but it was maybe a career-affecting injury. But you know, I mean, Kell Brook had that kind of injury, and I don't know if it's if Kell's was as bad as what Billy's is, but I think Billy deserves. I'd like him not to finish on a loss. I'd like him to have a couple of domestic fights for meaningful fights, and then go out on a high because he deserves to. Because he's, like I say, he's a major talent.
He's a super talent. Back to your shows, Dennis. Just whilst we were talking there about some of the fighters who you've given second opportunities to, what a fight Dave Allen and Cash Ali would be.
It would be. I think it would be. But,
what a banger.
It would be, but I don't know if we're going down that route. I think both. I'm not bothered about putting them two in with each other at this stage. I want to see where Dave Allen is. I'd like him to help each other to go in different routes, if I'm honest.
Right.
Because I think they're both capable of making a splash. Cash makes a splash, bit of poetry. But they can go in different routes. There's different routes to go in, and I think we can make a stir against one or two of the kids. I mean, Dave's expressed an interesting fight in Alan Babbage, so that'd be a cracking fight.
That'd be a really good fight, that.
That's something that we'll look at. And obviously Eddie's got Babbage, and but I'm hoping if something's best for the fighter, we'll look at it. But I think Dave needs 2 or 3 on FightZone where we build him up, and maybe if there's a title we can go after for Dave. He's such a popular kid. Mm-hmm. He deserves to have some kind of belt before he hangs his boots up. His gloves up in a couple of 2 or 3 years, however long he wants to stay in the game. But for however long he wants me to be associated with him, he's my pal anyway, and I want to do the best for him. But he's very capable, as we've seen. He's been very capable when he hasn't been in the best condition. So with Cash, he's looking in phenomenal condition. He's got a kid in Richard Towers, who's his trainer and mentor, who leaves nothing a chance. And he's really done a fantastic job with him. So I don't know. The exciting bit is I don't know how far we can go with Cash. But he's, outside the ring, he's a role model, he's a gentleman. But inside the ring, he's, as you've seen, Lee, he's got different aspects, and he showed he went a bit uppercut happy, but that's what we needed, and he got the job done in devastating style. But there's a lot more to come out of Cash. He's not, he's just not a one-trick pony. He can box and he can dig, as you've seen. So exciting times. It's great to have one or two heavyweights in the camp, innit? Because
without. Yeah. How far do you think Cash can go? Because that performance against Salek, that was devastating. He just looked a changed man.
Sorry, Lee. It was. It showed a killer instinct there, didn't it? Where he didn't just beat a tough kid. He absolutely demolished him.
Yeah.
And he's just getting better now. When I had Clinton Woods, Lee, the exciting bit all the way through the journey was when we won a Commonwealth title. Well, when we first won the Central Area title, that was a big thing for me. Then we won a Commonwealth title. I was so excited about that. And then the exciting bit was all the way through, I don't know how good he can be. Mm-hmm. And that was the exciting bit, because I got him to a title status and different titles than European. And I thought, there's more to come out of him. So you get there, you consolidate and go again. And I think that's where we're going to be with Cash. I don't know how good he's going to be. And that's the exciting bit about it.
Yeah, I was meant to have Clinton on, like, I believe it was last year. I just wanted to see how he was doing that, because I used to watch him back in the day when I was competing myself on the amateur scene. And yeah, man, those were the times that I just loved about boxing. They were, how special is it when you take a fighter like Clinton and take him to the world title, and nights like fighting Roy Jones Jr.?
I think it's just like our growing at the same time on this side of the ropes, Lee, and he was like my little brother. And the one good thing I can say is that he did stay loyal to me all the way through his career. Towards the end of his career, I'd lost his ear a little bit, because I'd still believe if we'd have done the job right, we could have still beat Tavares Cloud. Mm-hmm. I think he should have beat Tarver. He blames a back injury on that. And I wasn't aware how bad it was, and it expressed. But Clinton never pulled out of a fight, and I get disappointed with some of the things I hear when he's wrote in his book that he shouldn't have took that fight. Well, if he'd have expressed enough discomfort, I wouldn't have let him fight, because he was like my little brother. I was still paying his private healthcare. I used to put him on my family's private healthcare 2 and 3 years after he finished boxing. He was on my family's. That's how much I thought about him. So I cared for his welfare all the way through, and he was, like I say, he was like family to me. But people get in their ears after they've finished and stuff like that, and you hear different rumours. I mean, he's wrote a book. Couple of things in the book I don't agree with, Lee.
Right.
Without going into it, because I don't think they're true. Mm-hmm. Well, I know they're not. But he's, some authors, they get hold of him and try and make it a little bit more sensational. But the career-wise, our story is second to none. We lost a dear friend who we started out with in Neil Port. He were a big influence with me and Clinton. With my dear friend, and it were me and Neil who used to train together. And then Clinton walked into the gym, and Neil said that kid's he was a good amateur as a youngster, Dennis, and he were out of shape. And I sparred with him early doors, and then I'd take him on a pads. Neil works on his mentor as well as I did, and I had him moving him up and down, because I knew he wasn't ready. I knew he was raw before I put him in with a lot of different journeymen. So it was a time consuming. It cost me money early doors. The only time I earned any money out of Clinton were probably the last half a dozen fights of his career. Every fight of the 40-odd fights he had, they probably cost me a bit of money. So, but it were a challenge, it were a journey, and you know, just taking him over to fight Roy Jones, the only way I made that fight was I flew us over to Miami for the Glenn Kelly fight and threw him on the stage and gate crashed his press conference. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was massive. And I said, Clinton Woods is here, he wants to fight you. And Roy Jones gave him the mic and he agreed to fight him. That's how we made that fight.
Wow.
So
that's
go on, pal.
That's to me, that's the harsh thing about boxing, because promoters do a lot of things for fighters and some of them go unseen. And once they do get those ears, those like the lips and the ears and other people to start like having outsiders in camps and stuff like that, that's really the truly heartbreaking things, because the stuff that promoter and fighters have achieved, especially through second opportunity when nobody gave them that opportunity, should be a lifetime of like reverence. You should be super appreciative.
I mean, if you spoke to Clinton, he'd probably tell you what a great job I did for him and stuff like that, because our journey was very special.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember Barry Earls once saying to me, Dennis, he went, the job you've done with Clinton, he says, me or Frank couldn't have never done the job you did and maybe and earned him the money that you did. And the one good thing is that Clinton's financially secure. He had some big paydays. He lives in a £750,000 house. He's got another, I don't know, 300 or 400 grand house up the road where he rents out, and he owns his own gym, and he's probably got a good few hundred grand in the bank. So he's very, very well off, considering he wasn't a bigger name as say Robin Reed, who bless him, he still lives in a mortgaged terraced house and a 10-year-old car, and he's still scratching a living. So if you look at the difference in managed fighters, then I'd take pride in that I helped Clinton earn a lot of money, considering he wasn't as the marquee name as the other kids who aren't as well off as him now. So I'm proud of what we've achieved together. I love the journey, and then I proved that it wasn't a fluke, that I could maneuver other kids, and I was testing myself against your Roy Jones as business people, and like I have done when I had Ricky. I broke America with Ricky, but I'd got a deal with Don King and Bob Arum, and my God, we're up in the negotiating room with them kind of people. But I was testing myself against them because I got a job to do for the fighter, and I think I did a smashing job for Ricky, and we're pals again now. We were just his dad got in the way, and it created a bit of controversy, and he went one way and went in a direction I didn't want to go in. I didn't want to fight Mayweather, but they went behind my back and did the Mayweather fight, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get in there like Bob Arum had done with Pacquiao, but build the brand, and go and fight everybody else, but at some stage fight Mayweather, but not then.
Yeah.
I think Ricky earned a lot of money, but he'd earned 2 or 3 times the amount what he has done if he'd have gone the route that I wanted to go, and I'd had discussions with Bob Arum about it. So about us going in a different route, and we'd got some ideas together, and I were going to maybe do some deal with Bob where he'd have an involvement in guiding Ricky's career with me, and Ricky would have earned a lot more money, and then he kept an undefeated record for a lot longer. I wouldn't have took the Pacquiao fight when he did, because if you speak to him, he'll tell you that the Pacquiao fight is the only fight where he thought he was going into it and he thought he'd probably lose. The Mayweather fight, he fancied the job, but it wasn't the right time for the Mayweather fight for me. And then as he left me, he came back and did comeback fights, but he hadn't got the right team around him. Mm-hmm. And obviously his career ended how it shouldn't have ended, because he's an icon, he's a hero in this country, is your lad next door, so everybody relates to the kid, but a super talented kid who got the country behind him, and but like again, some people in and around, if you haven't got the right people, they just keep pushing you out as a performing bear if you're not quite right, and that's why I like to think what I did with Clinton, I just about got it right all the way through.
How special was that Rico Hoy night? Like, because
Well,
I remember watching that, and I was impressed.
It was the most amazing night in my boxing life. We'd lost our dear pal Neil. He died about 3 or 4 months before that. So I don't know. I think everything in the camp went so right. And this kid come over. He was supposed to be the next coming of Tommy Earns. It was on BBC, the last major professional fight that BBC had put together, had aired, but they'd made a decision that they didn't want to be involved in professional boxing anymore, which is ludicrous, because you get the Olympians on BBC, and they're funded by public money.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't they put professional? It's the transition from amateur to be a kid wants, when he boxes amateur, as you'll know yourself, Lee, if you want to stay in the game, your aspirations are to be a professional fighter.
Yeah.
And you look at your Sugar Ray Leonards, who were my favourite of all time, and you go, and you'd go in the gym after watching one of his fights, and you'd try and beat Sugar Ray Leonard on the bag and the pads and stuff like that. And so that was your aspiration to do that. Now that should be on BBC, our biggest network. And there's a lot of executives who are in jobs, going back to what I said, why we formed FightZone, is they're not boxing fans, Lee. They're not boxing fans. Some of these people would rather go and fox hunt or go and see a bit of polo or whatever. Well, I'm afraid, Lee, I'm a big football fan. For my sins, I'm a Sheffield Wednesday fan, by the way. But the semi-final of the England match against Denmark, and we got the closest that I've seen in my life to time to winning a cup. But, and I say this regular, boxing in this country, it's the only thing that we win at regularly on the world scene. For a smallish country, we're the best in the world.
We're predominant.
And so why aren't we on mainstream television? You get a bit of Channel 5, what Hennessy's got. We should, ITV or whatever, they're commercial, but definitely on the BBC. We should be having your sports nights with Harry Carpenters and seeing kids come through. FightZone sort of principle on the BBC, whether it's me or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
We should be on the BBC. It's I mean, Frank could say it to you, probably Eddie would. Well, Eddie might not do, because he's got a deal of a lifetime, but I don't. For me, I mean, I've had my little spats with Eddie, but he's done an amazing job. But whether he were promoting music or whatever, I think he's a businessman. But Frank, like him, I loathe him, and I've got my issues with him. He's a boxing man, and he makes great fights. But he would say to you, boxing should be on BBC.
Oh, that I fully agree, because, like I say, when Sky, when they announced that we were going to do a boxer, I was a bit flabbergasted. I was thinking, well, they're not established, and that's no disrespect to them at the moment. But you seem to be the perfect go-to man. That with Frank being a BT, Eddie drifting over, I thought it was the most natural choice, and I can't believe that they didn't try and scoop anything up, and that's why I'm so pleased that FightZone now is really making waves and doing great numbers and having great fights, the most importantly. Yeah.
We've just got to, like I keep saying, we need people like yourself to push, your subscribers, your listeners to subscribe. It's not a lot of money. And some people might go, yeah, but it's still a £5 a month, $4.99 a month. Well, people buy a packet of fags every week, and who's unemployed. So, and they're a tenner, aren't they, at least? So I'm sure anybody, and it's great entertainment. I'm not just saying it. And for $4.99, we're keeping it at $4.99 for the foreseeable future. It's affordable for everybody.
Almost definitely.
Sure. And you know, I've had calls from America. Lou DeBella called me this last week. They're interested in doing something with it. So we are making some moves, and we are getting tapped up. So I do believe that this is going to grow and grow. Now, the way that we become a force is people buy into it, and all these young kids will just keep putting show on after show to give these kids opportunity, and then maybe branch into doing some amateurs and pro-ams and things like that, because, you know, that's the feeding ground. And I'm not just looking at the... So it's not a bad production line, is it, what he's got? I'm saying I'll take kids who's not off the GB squad, who we believe in, who's probably more suited to the pro game, and I'll take them all the way.
I like the sound
This is
of
my
that.
little girl, one of my beautiful little girls, Lee.
Hello, are you all right?
This is Lee, my pal.
Bless her. Are you okay? Hiya.
Say hello.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, thank you. Dennis, I'm not going to keep...
where are you based, Lee?
I'm in Newcastle. For my sins, I'm a Newcastle fan. So it's couldn't be any worse. But Dennis, I'm not going to keep you much. Oh, terrible, man. Terrible, ridiculous. Folded like a pack of cards in the wind. Terrible.
You want Chris Wilder up there, Lee? You want Chris Wilder? He's a Sheffield United fella, but he's a top fella. Chris Wilder do a great job for you up there.
Anybody but Bruce. Anybody but Bruce.
Well, I liked Bruce when he was at Sheffield Wednesday. When he did the dirty on us and came to Newcastle, I don't like him anymore, and I want him to get the bullet.
I hope he gets the bullet. I hope he gets that bullet, Dennis. But honestly, mate, I really, really, really appreciate your time and what you're taking up today. I honestly, Dennis, it means a big lot of us. I've watched your work throughout my life, watching boxing, and you're one of the gems, and may longer continue.
Thanks, Lee, you're a gentleman. Will you please come to our show, even as a guest, even if you're not working? Because I want people like yourself who's got positive energy, who want to put something back into the sport. And you don't have to have fancy credentials to be part of us. You know, you don't have to have degrees in anything. You know, if you just meanwhile and you want to grow the sport and help us grow, you know, join the journey.
Yeah,
I'm happy to have you on board, because I know people like yourself who genuinely want us to help it grow, and we're just going to be stronger together. Then we're going to create a bigger pie. Most
definitely. That I love boxing. I would work for free in boxing. That is just simple. As long as boxing's getting pushed, that's all that matters to me. Boxing gloves run through my veins. I love the sport.
How many viewers do you get, Lee?
We've got about 4,300. We've only been going a year. I'm actually turning it into the business, but we've been ranked on iTunes and Spotify. We've got our biggest video done 20K, and that was with Ryland Charlton. We had Myron Mills on, who was fighting on your show, and we're done 12K. Yeah, but we do some good numbers, steady numbers. I believe this will be one of the best ones as well. Obviously, with your reputation and who you are, it speaks for itself. It speaks volumes. You know what I mean. So I think this will be a really good one.
Lee, anytime, pal, and if you're welcome with us, because I get a good feel about how you're just trying to push us and push the game. So if I can help you in any way, you come highly recommended anyway as a good fella. So if I can help you in any way, give me a shout, pal. because I know you'll try and help us. So
Yeah,
works
most
both ways.
definitely. I appreciate that, Dennis. Honestly, much appreciated. Dennis Hobson, this has been the Bad Blood podcast, Bad Blood Boxing Show. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you soon, hopefully.
Good luck. Good luck with Newcastle as well, Lee.
Yeah, thank you, my man. Thank you. Well, that was the great Dennis Hobson. Fantastic chat, and what an honor and a pleasure it was to have a man of that caliber on the podcast so short in our careers. Dare say. So yeah, absolutely over the moon to get Dennis on. Just like to introduce a couple of sponsors. Looking Sharp Barbers. It's also a tanning suite. It's fantastic. Girls there who run it, brilliant, doing a fantastic job. I've also got a little room in there where you can have your eyebrows done and stuff like that, like a little bit of a beauty room. So head over there if you're a local listener. Like I introduced ScotWest Shellfish, fantastic company, brilliant people who's running it over there, been super supportive to the podcast over the this past year. Can't thank you enough for the contribution that you have helped with. It really is greatly appreciated. Also, Spartan BK FightClub, another fantastic company. We've had a little bit of a stall block, but that hasn't stopped because we're coming back. We're coming back next month, and watch the show we put on for you. It is going to be a banger. So just keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Also, Mr. Bloom's Black Seed Oil Mechanics, fantastic products, also with many health benefits as well. So head over to the Facebook page. They've also got a YouTube channel now as well. So head over there and check it out. Honestly, you will not be disappointed. This is just a little bit of an intro. Done things backward this time. But yeah, as I've said before, it was great to have Dennis on. A man of that caliber to come onto the podcast is really, truly is an honor and a pleasure to have that man on. The shows that he's done speak for itself. The people who he's worked with, legends, icons, champions, you name it, the most anonymous names in boxing. And he's worked with the biggest and the best people in boxing has to offer. So yeah, massive boost to our profile, and it's great to be working, like giving FightZone that extra push and being able to go to the events and cover it and try and push it, because it's what boxing needs. Boxing needs this type of platform, because sometimes I know it's great having all the boxing stuff you want on the Zone, Sky, BT, but it becomes a little bit detached. Mine's still a bit nervous from doing that podcast, but yeah, boxing becomes detached. Especially the boxing. It's a funny old sport. It's like Marmite. You love it or you hate it, and it's when you're in it, it's like that rough relationship. You've got to hate it, love it, for some particular strange reason. It's just a brutal sport, and we need more people like Dennis in there, because some of the well-known boxers, yeah, they get pushed and they're on networks and stuff like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we need these lesser-known fighters on TV to get them to where they are. Just because they don't have a great following, it doesn't say that they shouldn't be on the networks and TVs. So yeah, big shout out to Team Fearless as well. Fantastic result over the weekend. 2 wins. Matty Ferries, you are the man, my brother. You are the man. Brad, Aaron, congratulations. Soak up your victories. It was a fantastic performance by both of you. Super proud, especially knowing how hard you have trained. Big smile on my face. But it was great. Great result. You have put the graft in. Matty, super proud of you as well, bro. The gym hasn't been open for very long, and you've come away with 2 wins on your first show, and it's absolutely fantastic, bro. It's absolute brilliant. More success to come. Gonna get yous back on. Obviously, that's why Matty hasn't been on the podcast recently, because he's been doing his own thing with the gym, trying to get it off the ground, up and running. Big shout out to the Marsden Fitness Centre as well, because they have given him the opportunity and he has grabbed it with both hands. Team Fearless. If you're in the South Shields area, go over there, because it's a top coach and it's a top club. It's going to be a top club. You know what I mean? So go over there, see what that man has to offer you, because massive shout out to Team YOLO as well. The YOLO Lounge over in Portugal, Albufeira. Honestly, it is the hidden gem of Portugal. Go and check them out. Honestly, it is looking like a hot spot for the future. They are killing it over there. Full every night, super safe to be, all checks in place, fantastically run business. By local people as well from my area. They are killing it and smashing it over there. Big up Rachel and big up Paul, lad. Well done. Keep the success flowing.